I will be taking my leave now, Kelvin-sama. It pains me to do so, but I must return to Daramus first thing tomorrow morning. We will miss you. Someday, we'll come pay Daramus a visit. Let's meet up then. I will look forward to it with great eagerness. With dinner over, we had all gathered outside the restaurant to exchange farewells. Per Melfina's orders, Colette was behaving normally so as to not raise any suspicions. Looks like she's doing a good job of it. I would love to grant you permission to use the teleportation gate in our capital, but I'm afraid that's under the Pope's jurisdiction, not mine. However, I promise to convince him to grant you access by the time we meet next. Colette grabbed my hands and stared at me intensely with slightly teary eyes. I would appreciate that, thank you very much. But there's no need to force things on my behalf, really. She is doing a good job, right? Does she fully understand what Melfina told her? The group of guys whispering in the back is bothering me, but I've got no time to deal with them right now. Even if Colette's letting the facade drop a bit here, I've got to keep up appearances. I can get through this. Thank you for your consideration. Well, then, everyone, let us meet again someday. Oh, hold on, Colette-san, Sylvia called just as Colette was about to get into the carriage awaiting her. Yes, Sylvia-san? There's something personal I want to ask you. What might that be? Can we discuss it in private? Colette paused briefly, then said, very well, and signaled for her guards to remain on standby. Sylvia shot a glance at the rest of us. Right, in private, means she doesn't want us to hear it, either. Let's leave first. In that case, we'll be taking our leave. Thanks, Kelvin. See you tomorrow. Sylvia bobbed her head and gave me a small wave. Nagua started. Hold on, what the fuck does she mean by tomorrow? While you were busy being a naughty peeker, we made a promise to Eiffel-san, Ariel replied. She's going to teach us how to cook at Kelvin-san's house tomorrow. So I'm sure we'll be seeing him. What? This is the first I'm hearing about it. You shush, Nagua. Eiffel-san, we'll be in your care tomorrow. We turned our backs on the lively ruckus to head home. Phew, that was a long, long day. Time to head home, dearies. Why are you with our group, Pretia? Considering how naturally he joined us, it almost didn't register for me. I'm going the same way as you dearies for part of the way. And also, I'm still juiced a little worried. What do you mean? Did something happen, Sarah? What? No, nothing's happening. Happened. It's nothing. Okay, clearly something's going on given how exaggerated that reaction was. But I think the right thing to do here is to drop it. Master, as I reported during the dinner, Sylvia-sama, Emma-sama, and Ariel-sama will be visiting the house tomorrow afternoon. We will be using the kitchen and the dining room. Right, for your cooking class. Sounds like Sylvia and the others won't be able to stay in Parth much longer, so give them a good time. Thank you, Master. If you are free, we'd love it if you could join us too. Apparently, Emma was going to learn cooking for Sylvia's sake, Ariel was doing it to grab the attention of a guy she liked, and Sylvia was just going to sit in and eat everything. Still, my king, I feel I must apologize for having thought you a sleeper. It turns out you really can pull it off. Gerard whispered through the network, giving my ribs a few jabs with his elbow. Is he referring to how I managed to get the information on Rizia from Colette? Looks like he's pretty concerned about it. I used the network to reply, despite not quite understanding why he was communicating so secretively. Well, yeah, things just happened that way. I learned some pretty valuable information, though. We might need to rely on Colette's help quite a bit in the future. I see, so that's why you, but still, to do that sort of thing with the Oracle, and right there in the open. Every once in a while, you really do surprise me, my king. Yeah? Was the only reply I could think of. I mean, it's true that taking advantage of Colette's religious piety isn't the most upstanding way to go about it. But the situation would have spiraled even further out of control if we didn't handle it properly. It took everything I had to stop Colette as she clung to my legs and begged me to kick her or punish her or whatever. In the end, I had to resort to forcibly pushing her away, but I made sure to do it in a way that didn't hurt her. "K. Kelvin." This time, it was Sarah who was reaching out through telepathy. As before, she sounded nervous for some reason. Can you come to my room before going to bed tonight? I have something to give you." Although the conversation was taking place through the network, I could sense how hard she was pushing herself to make the request. By something to give, is she referring to the present from yesterday? On a hunch, I looked over at Pretia, who was walking next to me. Noticing my glance, he turned towards me and returned a heavy, deliberate wink. Yeah, okay, he's definitely involved somehow. Sure thing. I'll be there. Wait for me. It's a promise. This time, I turned towards Sarah, and she gave me the most dazzling smile ever. Hollow diamond, hollow diamond, hollow diamond, hollow diamond. We got back home, and it was time to keep my promise to Sarah. I stood in front of her door, feeling slightly nervous. I knocked lightly and called out, "Sarah, it's me. May I come in?" Sure. With her permission, I entered the room. I'd been in there before while nursing her. But all the items that had been scattered around last time had been neatly put away now. Sarah herself was sitting at the edge of her bed, wearing nothing but a negligee. Sit here. Okay. Sarah invited me over by patting the spot next to her, and I obliged. Neither of us could bring ourselves to say anything for a while, and silence reigned. I knew that if I asked, "So, why did you want me to come?" things would proceed. But considering how nervous she was, Pretia's suggestive actions, and the mood in the room, even I could tell what was up in spite of my usual obliviousness to this sort of thing. We were so close that we could touch each other if we just reached out. Damn it, now I'm nervous too. And of course we fell victim to the two people starting to speak at the same time cliché. Sorry. You go ahead, Sarah. Oh, okay. Here is the present I couldn't give you yesterday in the tavern. It's a gift from me. I accepted the small box that she thrust at me with quivering hands. Sarah's face was turned the other way, but judging from the steam rising from her head, she had clearly turned bright red. Thank you. May I open it? Sure. Though I don't know if you'll like it or not. I carefully undid the beautifully done wrapping and opened the lid to reveal a silver locket pendant. The design was simple, but the engravings on the cylindrical form were absolutely beautiful. To my surprise, Annalise I told me that this was a rank A item. If it had been purchased, the price would have been enormous. But more than the price, I was impressed that she had managed to find something like this on the open market. You found this and bought it for me? That's half right. It was Goldiana who found it. Then I bought it with my share of the reward money from the new dungeon exploration quest. I see. I absolutely love it. Starting tomorrow, I'll wear it all the time. Really? What a relief. If she'd wanted to, she could have used the money to buy herself several top-dollar instruments she'd be wanting for quite a while. Instead, she had passed them up to buy this for me. I've got to take good care of it. Honestly, I'm thrilled with this gift. The pendant has a tiny compartment, right? Did you put something inside? I took a closer look at the lock and found it surprisingly secure. It's filled with my blood. I used my skill to compress it and cram in as much as I could. Don't open it by accident, all right? It'd cause a mess. And no, I'm still very happy about receiving this. Sarah was now back to her usual self, seemingly having lost her nervousness after managing to hand over the present without mishap. We shot the breeze, poked fun at each other, and shared laughs together as usual. The relationship between us was, well, totally normal. However, I was aware that I was no longer satisfied with our usual relationship. I had, in fact, fallen in love with this bright and straightforward girl who was always thinking of me and looking out for me. I loved her as much as I did Ethel, and there was no changing that now. From the way she blushed whenever our eyes met, I could tell that she reciprocated my feelings. "Kelvin, I have something I want to tell you," she said, completely out of the blue. I suddenly realized that our hands had overlapped and our fingers were intertwined. "May I say it first?" "What?" "If I let Sarah say it first, I wouldn't be a man." "Sarah, I love you." With that confession, I slowly brought my face close to hers. Her surprise gradually gave way as she closed her eyes. Little by little, her luscious, sakura-colored lips. Thud. A dull sound broke through the charged atmosphere. That's strange. For some reason, instead of a soft feeling on my lips, my forehead hurts. It hurts a lot. What is? What? Between our very surprised faces was a purple barrier that had appeared out of nowhere. It looked like a cylindrical wall with Sarah in the middle. Magic? No, wait, this is a blessing, Father's blessing? At Sarah's exclamation, I activated Analyze Eye. True enough, the barrier was identified as Blessing of the Demon Lord. Blessing of the Demon Lord Gustav. Protects the target from indecent acts. This blessing will activate regardless of the target's will and does not consume MP. Only if the target acknowledges the other party and initiates the first move will this blessing no longer activate. Demon Lord, sir, doting on your daughter is fine and all, but are you seriously doing this even from beyond the grave? Oh my God, my father is just, every, single, freaking, time. Oh boy, Sarah's pupils are turning red. Kelvin. Startled, I responded with, yes, ma'am, reflexively. However, Sarah's next action was a bigger surprise. The barrier crumbled away. On my lips was an incredible softness. My nose was filled with her scent. I had just been kissed by Sarah. Now father can't get in our way anymore. I suppose not. It was just a peck that had lasted for the briefest of moments. And it had been so sudden that I couldn't bring myself to meet Sarah's eyes. She was looking down in embarrassment as well. No, I'm the one who's supposed to take the lead here, even more so when I actually have a bit of experience. What am I, a middle school student? Get your act together. Sarah, I placed my hand on her cheek and turned her head my way. She looked back up at me, her eyes slightly teary. Kelvin, please, take me. I later recalled this as the moment when all reason flew out of my head. Hollow diamond, hollow diamond, hollow diamond, hollow diamond. It's morning. I slowly came to my senses, bathed in the warmth of the sunlight shining through the windows. I turned my head and found Sarah's cherubic face next to me, breathing peacefully. As she was hugging me in her sleep, I could feel her bountiful breasts pressing against me. I was naked too, which made the sensation even more powerful. What a wonderful way to wake up. Turns out my willpower might be a lot more brittle than I thought. However, I think part of the fault lies with the words she said. It was practically a direct provocation of my primal instincts, locking my mind and actions onto a single track. No man could possibly resist. If I had to guess, that was probably Pretia's advice. Due to straddling the genders, he likely has unparalleled insight into how the minds of both sides work. I shudder to imagine what he could do if he got serious. Additionally, it had been a while since I had done the deed itself, so I was worried that I might have gone a bit hard on Sarah. Ever since Melfina began occupying my bed, I hadn't had many opportunities to be alone with Ifil. I did try my best to maintain that very last strand of my willpower, but I had completely lost myself with Sarah before I knew it. In the end, I'd been reduced to nothing more than a ravenous wall. NNN. Sorry, did I wake you? Sarah yawned and stretched. Good morning, Kelvin. Good morning, Sarah. How are you feeling? It still hurts a bit, but I've never felt better. She smiled and planted a kiss on my cheek. Okay, now I'm fully awake. Looks like we overslept. I checked the time and found that it was already past 9 a.m. Ifil always woke me when I didn't get up on time myself, so it had been quite a while since I'd slept so late. Hold on. Why didn't she come to wake me up today of all days? Because I wasn't sleeping in my own room? That can't be it. If it was time for breakfast, she'd definitely go looking for me. The door is not locked. Oh shit, it's too late now, but I forgot to lock the door last night when I came in. Does that mean Ifil saw Sarah and me sleeping together naked and purposely chose not to disturb us? Kelvin? Why are you clutching your head? Don't mind me, I'm just trying to come to terms with our, situation. Am I looking at a scene of carnage on the horizon? Sylvia and her party members are supposed to be coming in the afternoon today. I've got to gauge what mood Ifil is in by then. I don't think I'll be able to stand trying to guess her feelings the whole time she's with them. You're planning on fixing erendite for me today, right? Would you mind if I stayed with you while you work on it? She squeezed me just a little bit harder with her hug. That slightly embarrassed look on her face really tickled my senses as a man, but my top priority at the moment was sorting out the current situation. Right, the gauntlet that got banged up during your fight the other day, yeah? Sure, but let's grab breakfast first. I gave her a gentle pat on the head, then got down from the bed and dressed myself. You should get dressed soon too, I urged. Ifil might put breakfast away if we're too late. We've got to find her and ask her to wait. I was trying very hard to come up with a legitimate reason to get Sarah to follow my lead. I was aware that my words sounded quite monotone, but it was the best I could manage in my current state. There's no need to worry. After all, she pointed towards the door, she's standing right outside. Of course she would sense her there with all those detection skills of hers. Ha. Oh, who am I kidding? It's time to stop hiding from reality. I suppose this is the perfect example of the phrase, my heart is in my throat. I've gone so far past being surprised that I can't feel anything at all. Yep, she's on the other side of the door, is all I can say now. Arg, what will happen will happen. There was no time to get my panic under control, so I just went for it and threw the door open. All I wanted now was to resolve this as quickly as possible. I can only hope that the angelic Ifil will be understanding. Good morning, Master. As Sarah had said, Ifil was standing there in front of the door. She greeted me with her usual smile and soft tone. Good morning, ma'am. Although Ifil was acting normal, my guilt pushed me to return her morning greeting like a little boy caught doing something wrong. A split second later, I was already kneeling on the floor in apology. What are you doing, Master? Aren't you, mad at me? Me? Mad? Ifil looked at me in puzzlement. Oh, wow, she really isn't. You aren't, mad at me for sleeping with Sarah? I am your maid, Master. I would not get mad at you over such matters. Then why didn't you wake us up today? Because both of you seemed very tired. And I can read the mood. It's just what? It's fine if it's only once in a while, but it would make me happy if you could give me some attention too. I'm also, holding myself back, so. Her voice trailed off as she covered her mouth with her hand in embarrassment, her cheeks aflame. I immediately enveloped Ephil in a hug and whisked her into the room. Master? My maid was, understandably, quite confused. I gently lowered her onto the bed next to Sarah, who had only put on her lingerie so far. I feel like I should talk this out properly with both of you, I said as I sat down on the edge of the bed. I looked straight into the eyes of each girl in turn. Ephil. Sarah. I love both of you. I love both of you so much so that I can't choose between you. You might think me unfaithful for saying this, but I do plan on loving both of you equally. The two of them stayed quiet, giving me their full attention. Would you still accept me, even under those circumstances? I thought I could hear the thumping of my own heart. I wasn't sure whether I had managed to properly convey my feelings or not. Sarah and Ephil exchanged a look, then giggled at the same time. And here I was wondering what you were going to say, looking so serious and grim. There's no problem at all. I meant what I said earlier, Master. I also do not see this as a concern. Are you too sure about that? I'm not saying I'm okay with just anyone, mind you. I'm fine with Ephil because I trust her. Just so we're on the same page. Right, okay. Sarah-san, I believe there might even be others joining us in the future. Mel-sama, for example, already declares herself to be his wife. You've got to truly love the girl for us to accept her, Kelvin. In this way, I somehow managed to get through what I'd feared would be a bloodbath. In the worst case, I'd been prepared for death. What a relief that it's been resolved so peacefully. In that case, I'd like to alleviate Ephil's worries right now. What? I pushed both girls down onto the bed and climbed on myself. My war? Wait, here? Now? Me too? Of course. Otherwise, it wouldn't be fair, right? But Master, Sylvia-sama and her party will be coming in the afternoon. Not a problem. We have plenty of time before then. But, Master, Nope, there's no getting out of this for either of you. If we go into overtime, I'll make something up and apologize to them myself. That's not it, Master. Could you at least lock the door? I looked over, prompted by Ephil's words. True enough, the door was standing slightly ajar. Without speaking, I got off the bed, closed the door, turned the lock, and came right back. Hollow diamond, hollow diamond, hollow diamond, hollow diamond, hollow diamond, hollow diamond, hollow diamond. Oh wow, you really slept in today, Master. It's already the afternoon, you know. When I finally reached the dining room, I found Ruka putting away the newly washed dishes. Looks like everyone already finished eating and left. Guess I was pretty exhausted from yesterday. Are there any leftovers? Sure, I'll serve it now. Oh, Sarah-sama. Ephil-sama. Ruka bowed to the two women who had entered the dining room behind me. Good morning. Can you get me something to eat too? Sarah asked, settling into a chair. Good morning. Please give me a second, I'll do it really quick. Did something happen, Ephil-sama? Ruka's really honed her observation skills. Ephil, you're still grinning a little. Ahem. I will be getting on with preparations for the afternoon. Ruka, make sure to clean up properly afterwards. Yes, ma'am. She deflected that nicely. Hollow diamond, hollow diamond, hollow diamond, hollow. So, that mansion is Kelvin-san's house? Whoa, what an impressive place. Very big. Ariel, Emma, and Sylvia voiced their first impressions in turn as Kelvin's residence came into view down the road. Along the way, they'd had to make a few stopovers to satiate their leader's appetite, but thankfully, they had managed to reach their destination in the end. Ha! That ain't nothing, spat a voice from behind them. Why are you even here, Nagwa? Emma asked. To keep an eye on Kelvin, obviously. There's no telling what he'd do to Sylvia if I wasn't around. Ariel sighed. You are just so, In contrast to the others, Sylvia didn't seem to quite understand what was going on. Well, since you're already here, never mind, Ariel continued. Just don't cause any trouble, all right? No need to tell me twice. You sure are naggy today. Whose fault do you think that is? Okay, that's enough of the spousal comedy act, Emma interrupted in a practiced fashion. She pointed down the street. Look, the gates are just ahead. True enough, the entrance to the estate had come into view along with 2 suits of black armor seemingly standing guard on either side. In what appeared to be a display of incredible training, both were standing completely still, each holding a halberd in one hand. Their appearances seemed so similar to that of the veteran in Kelvin's party, Gerard, that were it not for their heights, they could easily have been mistaken for the knight himself. Excuse me. I am Emma. I believe we have an appointment, Emma said to one of the guards. Its face turned towards her, and it broke its silence. Emma-sama, Sylvia-sama, Ariel-sama. Prior notification from Master confirmed. Please pass through. The head maid, Ifil-sama, awaits you. As the guard delivered its lines in what sounded like a strangely flat and drawn-out voice, the gates began opening all by themselves. Are these powered by magic? What an elaborate setup, Emma murmured, sounding impressed. She grabbed Sylvia's hand and walked on in. Ariel followed, giving the guards a quick bob of her head and a thank you as she passed. Then Nagwa stepped forward. Clang. What the fuck is this? He found his way blocked by the 2 guards as they promptly crossed halberds. Apologies. We have no prior notification of your visit. Confirming now. Please wait a moment. The fuck? I'm Nagwa. I'm with Sylvia. That good enough for you? Apologies. Please wait a moment. You seriously wanna have a go, huh? The guard's staunch refusal caused Nagwa to flare up at once. He was convinced that today's plans were nothing more than Kelvin luring Sylvia and the others to his house to lay hands on them after he had landed the oracle, which had presumably gone to his head. Wait, Nagwa. Stop, Sylvia said with slight concern. Huh? What is this, the tavern all over again? Sylvia, you seriously think I would lose to a pair of guards? It'd be a close fight, maybe? Sylvia's comment served to pour oil onto the flames without her realizing it. Nagwa and the guards looked ready to break into a serious fight at the drop of a coin. 2. 3. Master has given his permission. Nagwa-sama is an official guest. Let him through, Ifil ordered as she approached, rounding the fountain in the garden. Understood. Understood. With perfected synchronized clanks, the 2 suits of armor resumed their previous stances. I'm terribly sorry for coming out to greet you so late. I also deeply apologize for our guards' disrespect. Oh, no, we're the ones in the wrong for bringing Nagwa along without prior notice. Come on, apologize. Ariel tried to force Nagwa's head down, but he resisted her efforts with a sour-sounding K. Ifil smiled at the exchange and turned to lead the group into the house. Ifil-san, thank you very much for today, Emma said as she followed close behind the maid. Very honored, Sylvia added. Thank you for coming. I have been looking forward to this. Before we start, however, may I inquire as to how much experience you each have with cooking? Embarrassingly, we aren't very good at it, Ariel replied. I mean, if we had to describe what we're each able to do. The 3 girls exchanged glances. I'm good at cutting things. If it's just grilling something with red magic, I won't lose to anyone when it comes to firepower. I know how to detoxify poison. Everything listed sounded more like random abilities, obtained for totally different reasons, being applied to cooking rather than having any actual experience with cooking itself. Nagwa snorted. Honestly, Kokudori and I basically took turns while we were on the road. These three are pretty much hopeless when it comes to the kitchen, so you should prepare yourself for that. I've long since given up trying to teach them anything. I shall do my best. As promised, Ephil did her utmost, but it was to no avail. After many trials and tribulations, she ended up teaching cooking to Nagwa alone.